Hey Angela, it's Anita, and I thought I would share my screen and see if I can help you a little bit. So when you're going to book Carnival, um, obviously it looks like you know how to go ahead and find the cruise that you want to do. So I'm just gonna look at one way far out. Just pick Celebration and let's Caribbean. That's good enough. Select sailing. Okay, when you get to this screen where you have all the sailings, all the different dates, over here you want to bump guests to be 3. You've got 6 people. You're either going to have to put 4 in one and 2 in the other cabin, or put 3 in each cabin, or get 3 cabins and put 2 in each. But if they only want 2 cabins, you're going to have to put 3 in each. So you'd start out, and if you're just quoting, I'll show you how to quote it, but you would just put the 3 people here, and then you'll come over here and pick the sailing that you're looking at. So I'm going to pick February 11th, and I'm going to click select sailing. And then you'll come here where all the rate codes are. These are different rate codes that, because they don't have a VIFP number, they get basically the standard rate codes. And you can look at what the details are for each of them to see which one to pick. So for instance, if you click on see details under rate code OHF, this is the one that actually is for just Archer for their clients. It's a 50% reduced deposit applied to their sailing. They get onboard credit, or the onboard credit and deposit are non-transferable and non-refundable. The OBC is provided as credit to their SNS account up to $50 per room. So you would just read through all these details so that you know what the requirements are, because sometimes, like for instance, no name change allowed. So you want to make sure that if they're not sure of the people that are going, you might want to stay away from this particular rate code. And it's going to automatically add the gratuities. So things like that. You just want to look at the details so that you know what the restrictions are for each rate code. And see how you got PEH, PB4, those are rate codes. Now, if the client called you because they got an email with an offer, ask them to read the email and find the rate code. It should be somewhere near the bottom of the email. Somewhere in that email, it should have a rate code. If they provide it to you, then you can give them a quote based on that rate code. You could also, let's say they said, okay, it's rate code PB4, but that's $629 for interior starting price. But you can say, well, we have another rate code where we can start you at $589 and maybe saving them a little bit of money. So once you know what rate code you're going to go with, you're going to pick that particular, whether interior, ocean view, or balcony. And then you're going to click continue at the bottom. Now, once you get to the next screen, oops, it moved it back to 2 guests. Let me go back. 3 guests. Apply filters. I'm going to go back down here to interior. Now see how it reduced the rate? That's because it's going to be 3 people. This is a per person rate. And when you have 3 people in a cabin, the per person rate is cheaper. So interior, continue. On this page, you're going to see all the different categories of interior cabins. And if you need to know what those interior cabins look like, you can go to Carnival's main screen or main website and look up each on the deck plans. But for this purpose, we'll just go ahead and pick one. So let's say you're going to go with interior cabin 4H. You can click quick quote here if you're just quoting them. Make sure you select guest view at the top. It shows their itinerary. And then down here, it shows 3 guests and the total. Now, this particular rate code did automatically included the gratuities, which you should always do. Make sure that they pay the gratuities with their booking. That way they don't have to owe on the ship. And add vacation protection here for all 3 guests. So the total for 3 people to get this one interior cabin would be $24.29. Now, if you notice up here, the itemized amounts, guest 1 and guest 2 pay the majority of the cabin cost, and guest 3 is less. That's just the way Carnival mapped it out, because guest 1 and guest 2 are actually the ones paying for the cabin. Guest 3, these amounts are basically their food and whatnot. If the 3 people are splitting it 3 ways, I would just tell them to split 24, 29, 10, and basically go ahead and divide that. $24, $29, $10 divided by 3, and tell them each person owes you $809.70. And then when you go to book it, you can just get 3 credit card authorizations and apply 3 separate payments. If it's just one person paying, tell them that's $24, $29, $10. Down here, that you'll see that where they're showing what the promotion, the onboard credit is. So this particular one, since up here I selected guest view, then you can come down here and email this to yourself first, and then from your email you can forward it to the customer. That's one way of doing it. Now, up here, it's going to, if you email this to yourself, you're going to have all this information because it'll be in your email. The stateroom or the interior category is 4H. The rate code is over here. It's OHF. So that way, when you go to book it and you come back in here, you're going to say, okay, it was 4F and I'm getting ready to book it. So now I'm going to select continue. And now you're going to look for, probably you're going to want to look for 2 cabins near each other. So like in this case, you have this cabin and this cabin that you could offer them. That's on the front of the ship. It's probably is all that's available. Oh, there's some midship on deck 11. So sometimes you have to go shoot around on the different decks. It's still category 4F, so it's still going to be that price. So if I were to select this and come down here and you go to the final page, you'd have to go through each of the guests filling in the information to get to the final page, but it still should be the $24.92 that we came up with on the quote. Not sure if that helped any. I wasn't sure what all you were looking for. But definitely if you were just looking for how many guests to put in, you're going to either have, if they only want 2 cabins and you got 6 people, you're going to have to put 3 and 3 or 4 and 2. Make sure you let your customer know that if they pick 3, that the third person is either going to be sleeping on a couch made up as a bed or in a pull down cot from the ceiling. Hope that helps.